Manicured for my daughter's wedding, I stood alone near the edge of the gravel lot, fussing with the lapels of my charcoal jacket for the third time. My fingers wouldn't stop shaking. 24 years as Victoria's father, and she was about to marry a man I barely knew, twice. That's how many times I'd met him. The irony was acidic. I'd paid for this dream event using the final remains of the divorce settlement Elena fought so ruthlessly to shrink. 50 grand vanished into roses, catering, and a dress that cost more than my first car. But Victoria deserved beauty, even if it meant sitting through Elena's presence to witness it. I checked my phone. 3:47 p.m. 13 minutes until it began. I still had no idea where I was supposed to sit. Elena's meticulous little seating chart had tucked me away in the third row, behind her gallery contacts and Damon's portfolio buddies. The message was precise. You're invited. Barely. You're not family. Marcus, the voice called from across the parking lot. Samuel Kane, my attorney and closest friend, was walking toward me. His silver hair caught the sun, his Italian shoes crunching with every step. Concern carved his features. You sure about this? We can still get in the car and go. She's my daughter, Sam. I'm not missing this. He examined me like he did hostile witnesses, calculating, steady. Elena's going to make it painful. Before I could answer, the string quartet struck up. Guests began flowing toward their seats, the ceremony drawing close. We moved with them toward the vineyard's makeshift altar. White chairs lined like soldiers in formation, facing an arch smothered in cascading florals. The tasting room had been transformed into something out of a bridal magazine, elegant, high-end, soulless. Nothing of the girl who once built forts from sofa cushions and whispered secrets to me in the dark. I found my chair, third row, like a political afterthought. I nodded at the strangers beside me. 3 rows ahead, Elena held court, magnetic as ever, surrounded by wine barons and gallery owners who hung on her every curated syllable. Navy silk dress, salon-perfect hair, smile engineered for maximum admiration. The music shifted. Bridesmaids in dusty rows made their way down the aisle. I barely registered their faces. My eyes were locked on the arch, waiting. And then the bridal march began and my world went off axis. Victoria appeared, radiant, elegant, glowing, and walking beside her, offering his arm as though it were his. To give was Damon Cross, the man who dismantled my marriage, the man Elena chose over me after 18 years. And now he was walking my daughter down the aisle, smiling with that same polished smirk he used at dinner parties while he sabotaged my life from across the table. My vision tunneled, the vineyard blurred. All I saw was his hand, resting like a brand on Victoria's arm. They walked slowly. She beamed. He played the role. Proud stepfather, fake patriarch. Guests turned, eyes misting. It was picture perfect. The final act in Elena's production, her reminder that I had no place in this new chapter. When they reached the arch, the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman to be married?" Damon spoke, clear and sure. "Her mother and I do." With joy and pride. Each word landed like a fist to the chest. Her mother and I. 18 years erased by 2. Sam's hand landed on my shoulder, steadying me as I swayed. The ceremony blurred. I saw them exchange vows. I saw Victoria laugh at something Damon whispered. I saw Elena glow in her front row throne. And when the officiant pronounced them married, the applause was thunderous. I clapped like a marionette, out of sync, out of feeling. As the couple walked back down the aisle, Victoria caught my eye and offered a faint wave. Courteous, distant, the kind you give a second cousin or a distant uncle, not a father. In the receiving line, I waited. When my turn came, she hugged me briefly. Her perfume was foreign, pricey, carefully chosen. "Dad, I'm so glad you came," she said. Warm voice, detached tone. "You look incredible, sweetheart. Truly. Thanks." Her eyes drifted to Damon, soaking in praise a few steps away. "It's been like a dream today. I'm happy for you, Victoria. Honestly. She gave my hand a polite squeeze and turned to the next guest. 30 seconds. That was all I got. As I stepped away, Elena appeared, still capable of stopping my breath despite 2 years of scorched earth legal warfare. At 48, she'd become a sharper weapon, mature, deadly beautiful, perfected by time and calculation. Marcus, she said, smiling. Thank you for being here. It meant a lot to Victoria. Of course, she's my daughter. Her smile was precisely warm, precisely distant. She's lucky to be surrounded by people who love her. It stung, the way she said people. As if I were just one of many. No more essential than an uncle or an old friend. Before I could reply, Daman appeared beside her, his arm around her waist like it belonged there. Marcus, he said, extending, his hand like a politician. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. I wanted to walk away. Instead, I shook his hand, harder than necessary. Wouldn't miss it. She's been over the moon about today, he said. We planned everything. Together. A deliberate nudge. She mentioned your involvement, I said evenly. Elena's expression flickered, amused, maybe warning. Damon's been amazing with Victoria, she said. He's really stepped into that father figure role. Father figure. I was there for the bike rides, the spelling tests, the sleepless nights, the heartbreaks. I wasn't a figure. I was her father. That's generous of him, I managed. Elena glanced toward the reception tent. We should get back. They want family photos before dinner. Family photos. Without me. They walked off together. Elegant. Poised. Polished. Everything I was no longer allowed to be. The reception was a dream. Twinkling lights, floral masterpieces, money soaked into every detail. I found my place in the far back corner, seated with a gallery intern and a few strangers. Close enough to see the party, too far to be part of it. Daman gave a toast, tear-jerking, eloquent. Everyone clapped. Elena spoke next, praising Victoria, thanking the guests, highlighting Daman's role in her life. She never mentioned me. I excused myself before dessert and stepped outside. The sun was setting, bathing the vineyard in gold. I couldn't feel a thing. They were still celebrating, basking in their supposed triumph, blissfully ignorant of the detonation quietly ticking beneath their feet. For the first time in months, I smiled. Monday arrived draped in gray drizzle, mirroring the hollow calm in my chest as I sat in my high-rise office downtown, waiting. Sam paced behind me, stripped of his usual courtroom stillness. He checked his watch. Again. You realize this could be a dead end, he muttered, voice tight. Private investigators oversell to stay paid. It happens. Janet doesn't operate that way, I said, eyes fixed on the rain. She's not some corner shop gumshoe, she was bureau. Financial crimes. She doesn't chase shadows. Still, even if she found something, it might be trivial, a few messy ledgers. That won't do anything to shift Victoria. I turned, met his eyes, but what if it's not trivial? What if it changes everything? Before he could answer, a knock at the door. My assistant stepped in. Ms. Martinez is here. Janet entered with a manila folder under one arm and a laptop bag in the other. Her expression said enough to stop. Sam's pacing cold. She was in her early 50s, steel-colored hair, sharper eyes. The kind of woman who could peel lies off a man without raising her voice. Gentlemen, she said, thank you for making time. What I'm about to show you isn't easy. She connected her laptop to the wall monitor. Financial records lit. Up the screen. Bank logs, transfers, portfolio summaries. I started looking into Damian Cross 6 weeks ago, after your assistant casually mentioned you were considering him. You never retained me formally, but I kept digging. Something felt wrong. The first page displayed Cross Capital Management, Damian's hedge fund. On the surface, it looked clean. Predictable gains, content investors, no red flags. Cross Capital manages roughly $400 million, Janet explained. Institutions, celebrity clients, deep pockets. But when I pulled internal transfers, she clicked. Next slide. He's been running a high-level Ponzi scheme for the last 3 years, paying off early investors with fresh deposits, meanwhile siphoning off millions. Sam leaned in, squinting at the numbers. How much has he taken? Conservative estimate? North of 25 million. Then came the hammer blow. This next part is where it gets personal. She tapped another file. Victoria's trust fund, created when she turned 18, funded by her grandfather's estate. The initial balance, $1.2 million, current balance, $87,000. My hands went cold. Elena moved the assets to Damien's management about 1.5 years ago, Janet said. He used her power of attorney to liquidate and reinvest the funds, claimed he was diversifying. In truth, he was plugging gaps in his failing fund. More documents followed. Elena's gallery had taken a business loan at Damien's suggestion and dumped it into Cross Capital. When that money vanished, she mortgaged her personal home to prop up the business. He gutted them both, I said quietly, while playing the doting stepfather. Sam exhaled. How long before this implodes? The SEC's been on him for months, Janet said. They're prepping coordinated raids. It's going to hit fast. When it does, the whole facade will shatter. Phony returns, ghost accounts, the works. I stood, walked to the window. Below, traffic moved with routine urgency. Commuters, meetings, deadlines. No idea how quickly lives can be leveled by one man's lie. Elena? I asked. For the next 2 hours, Janet unpacked the scheme in excruciating detail. Layered shell companies, doctored PDFs, fabricated returns. It was elegant in design, meticulous fraud posing as success. Then came the final cut. She opened a file of emails. Internal messages between Damien and his partner. One in particular froze me. Ila's easy to manage. She buys every word I say about the portfolio. The daughter's trust should float us another 6 months, maybe more if we're careful. The reply, what about the ex? Damien. He's irrelevant. She's poisoned the daughter against him completely. He's isolated. Won't even see us coming. By the time he suspects anything, we'll be in the Caymans. Isolated, irrelevant. That's how he saw me. I stood. I've seen enough. Janet powered down her laptop. What's your move? I looked at Sam, then back at her. File everything. I want him sued, exposed, and ruined, down to the ashes. And Elena? Janet asked. She chose her side. She chose him. Over me. Over Victoria's future, over reality. Now she can live with the wreckage. Sam began typing the suit. This is going to get ugly. High-profile art gallery, elite investors. It's going to blow up in the media. Good, I said. Let the world see who Elena Blackwood trusted with her legacy. Janet gathered her things. I'll need a retainer to continue. There may still be funds we can claw back, but we'll have to move fast. Done. Get everything. When they left, I remained at the window. 6 hours ago, I was just a sidelined father, disconnected, dismissed. Now I was about to become the reckoning. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Dad, thank you again for being at the wedding. It meant a lot. Love you. I stared at it for a long time before typing, love you too, sweetheart. Always. By Thursday, Sam had filed the civil case. Fraud, mismanagement, theft, everything. The damages alone would crater Cross Capital, even if Damien escaped prison. Janet's team tracked offshore accounts in the Caymans and Switzerland. Total theft? Over $40 million. Friday morning, federal agents raided Cross Capital's San Francisco offices. The news broke by noon. Hedge fund manager arrested in $40 million Ponzi scheme. My phone lit up. Reporters, old friends, former colleagues. I ignored them all. Until one call came in. Elena. I let it ring 4 times before picking up. Marcus? She gasped. Thank God. The FBI just stormed the gallery. They're saying Damien, he stole from Victoria? My accounts are frozen. The house, I don't understand. I said nothing. They're saying he took over $1 million from her trust, she whispered. From Victoria's college fund. It's gone. It's all gone. That must be hard to process, I said. He loved her, like his own. I laughed. He's been bleeding her dry for over a year. The Bureau has every wire transfer. A pause. Then, how do you know that? I'm the one who turned him in. Silence, then. You what? I hired the investigators. I filed the suit. I burned the fuse. You did this to destroy me. I did this to save Victoria. You handed her future to a predator. Marcus, please, don't let your anger ruin our daughter. No, Elena, I'm fixing what you broke. Her voice cracked. Please, don't do this. You made your decision at that wedding, when you said I'd always be her real father, just not today. Well, today, I'm the only one left standing. I hung up. Switched off the phone. Outside, the city pulsed forward, oblivious, unconcerned. For the first time since that cursed wedding, I felt something close to peace. Not joy, that was gone, but a clear, cold calm. Justice was finally catching up, and I wasn't done yet. The money Damien Cross had siphoned from Victoria's trust had funded a luxury yacht and a seaside villa in Cabo, opulence he indulged in, while playing the doting stepfather at holiday dinners and family brunches. By Monday morning, I was at the federal courthouse, seated across from Assistant U.S. Attorney Amanda Chen. She was younger than I'd anticipated, early 40s, maybe, but carried herself with the disciplined intensity of someone who'd made a name dismantling financial predators. Mr. Blackwood, thank you for coming. Your civil suit was instrumental in building our criminal case, she said, sliding a binder across the desk. I'm glad it helped, I replied. I want Cross prosecuted to the fullest extent. She opened the folder. He's currently facing 47 federal indictments, wire fraud, securities fraud, money laundering. Given the scope, he's looking at 20 to 30 years. And the assets, I asked? My daughter's inheritance, what can be recovered? We've locked down about $15 million domestically, Amanda said. We're coordinating with international regulators for offshore accounts. But I need to be clear. These cases can drag on, and most victims recover only a fraction. The idea of Victoria scraping by while Cross's stolen wealth sat frozen in legal purgatory was unacceptable. What if I could speed up recovery? I asked. Amanda raised an eyebrow. Meaning? Elena Blackwood has access to additional information. If she cooperates fully, could it move things forward? Potentially, Amanda said cautiously. But any cooperation deal would require a grant of immunity, and only if we're certain she wasn't a willing accomplice. She wasn't. Complicit, I said. She was negligent, there's a difference. Walk me through it. I spent the next hour laying it out, how Elena had consolidated Victoria's trust under Damien's control, handed him power of attorney, and leveraged her gallery and assets to secure his fraudulent fund. Amanda nodded thoughtfully. She was groomed, she concluded. Manipulated. She was, I agreed. But that doesn't erase the damage. Her actions cost my daughter over $1 million. Even if she escapes criminal charges, Amanda replied, your civil suit could hold her financially accountable. If we establish that she had decision-making authority over the trust, she could be liable for the full loss. That was better than I expected. If prison didn't break her, bankruptcy would. When can we talk to her? Her attorney says she's ready to cooperate. We can meet this afternoon. We reconvened at 2:30 p.m. I arrived early, seated in the conference room watching through the glass as Elena approached the building beside her lawyer. The woman who had once smirked across wedding tables in designer heels now looked 10 years, older and utterly depleted. Her once pristine appearance was unraveling, hair limp, frame gaunt, clothing unable to hide the ruin beneath. She avoided my eyes as she entered. Her attorney, David Walsh, was a familiar name in high-stakes white-collar defense. Amanda started the meeting. Miss Blackwood, this meeting is being recorded. Anything you say may be used in the criminal prosecution of Damien Cross. Elena nodded, silent. Tell us about your financial involvement with Mr. Cross. Over. The next 2 hours, a damning portrait emerged. Damien hadn't merely stolen. He'd orchestrated her isolation, cutting her off from longtime advisors, pushing her to change banks, avoid scrutiny, stop consulting anyone. He told me Marcus would sabotage everything out of jealousy. Elena whispered. He made me promise not to tell anyone. Amanda scribbled notes as Elena described his tactics. Did he ever have you sign documents you didn't understand? All the time. He said it was regulatory paperwork, nothing urgent. She reached for a tissue, voice cracking. I trusted him completely. He seemed brilliant, unshakable. Amanda leaned forward. Let's talk about the trust. How did your daughter's inheritance end up in his hands? Elena looked at me. First time since she'd walked in. Victoria was buried in student debt. Her trust was in a basic savings account. Damien said he could triple the returns in 2 years. Did you seek any outside advice before making that decision? Amanda asked. I should have asked Marcus, she said. But Damien said he'd try to stop it out of spite, that we had to act quickly. My anger stirred again. Even now, she was painting herself as a casualty rather than facing what she'd done. Miss Blackwood, I said quietly, did it occur to you to get a second opinion before moving Victoria's money? Or to involve Victoria herself? Elena flinched. Damien said outside involvement would complicate things, that it was better handled solely by me. She was 22, an adult. You shut both of us out. Marcus, please, Walsh cut in. We're here to assist the government, not litigate personal grievances. Amanda held up her hand. No, this is relevant. Miss Blackwood, did Victoria consent to the transfer? The crack in Elena's composure finally split open. Tears streamed as she choked on her words. I thought I was helping. Damien showed me charts, testimonials, promised we were securing her future. I truly believed that. He said Marcus would interfere legally, that it would be cleaner if I acted alone, as her mother. I stood, chair scraping behind me. Legal complications? I snapped. I'm her father. I had every right to be consulted. You're right, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But the words rang hollow. Too late. Too easy. Sorry doesn't rebuild a trust fund, I said flatly. Sorry doesn't unpoison a relationship. Amanda stepped in again. Miss Blackwood, we need anything you can provide. Account numbers, passcodes, and storage locations. Elena reached into her bag, retrieved a worn notebook. I wrote down everything. Account info, routing numbers, combinations. There's also a storage unit in Marin, Unit 247 at Bayside Storage. He didn't know I knew, but I followed him once. Amanda flipped through the notes. Her brows lifted. This is substantial. Why didn't you tell the FBI sooner? I was scared, Elena admitted. He always said if anything went wrong, I'd go down with him, that I was already complicit. Amanda leaned back. Given what you've shared, it appears you were manipulated, not a co-conspirator. But your legal control over the trust means you still face civil liability. Elena blinked. Civil, Walsh clarified. No criminal charges, but Mr. Blackwood's lawsuit may result in financial penalties. How much? She asked. I answered before Walsh could. All of it. Your gallery, your home, your personal wealth, everything liquidated to repay Victoria. Elena stared at me like I'd slapped her. I didn't know what he was doing. I was lied to. You were lied to because you excluded me, I replied. You gave him the power to steal from our daughter. Amanda stood. Miss Blackwood, we'll need you to accompany agents to the storage site tomorrow. Then you can discuss the civil resolution with your attorneys. As the meeting wrapped, Elena moved toward me. Marcus, she said, voice strained. I know I failed you, but Victoria still loves you. Don't let your anger at me ruin what's left between you two. I looked at her. Calm. You did that. When you convinced her to put more faith in Damien than in me. I'm just repairing. The damage, with action, not apologies. She had no answer. She turned, shoulders slumped, and left. Amanda walked me to the elevator. That was ruthless, but effective. The information she gave us may double our recovery. And the trial? If he doesn't fight extradition, 6 months. If he does, longer. But with this, he's done. That night, I drove home with a strange blend of grim satisfaction and quiet ache. Elena's cooperation would help restore Victoria's finances, but not the fractured truth between us. She was still married, still blind to what Damien had taken, still unaware that the man she had dismissed, the father she'd been taught to distrust, was the one who had saved her. The next morning news broke. Damien had been caught trying to board a private flight to Switzerland, arrested at a small airstrip in Napa with a fake passport and 2 suitcases full of cash. His mugshot hit every major network. I was watching the broadcast from my office when the phone rang. It was Victoria. "Dad?" Her voice trembled. "Have you seen the news about Damien?" It was the first time we'd spoken since her wedding. "Yes," I said gently. "I saw. I don't understand. They're saying he stole millions, that he conned people. But that can't be right. Damien wouldn't—" "Victoria," I said quietly. "Where are you?" "At home. Derek's at work. I've been watching the news for hours. They said Mom lost the gallery. That might—" Victoria abruptly pulled her hand back. "So you investigated Damien behind Mom's back? Behind everyone's back?" I nodded. Something didn't feel right, and it turns out I was right. "How long have you known about what he's done?" "For a few weeks now, though honestly I suspected something was wrong even before your wedding day." Victoria's expression grew steely. "So that's why you looked so angry during the ceremony? Because you were secretly planning to expose him?" "No," I replied. "I was furious because I watched some stranger walk my daughter down the aisle while I sat invisible in the shadows." "Dad?" Victoria's voice cracked. "I tried to explain that Damien had been more involved lately because Mom deliberately excluded me from the wedding planning, but gave him full control over your finances." Victoria fell silent, absorbing the weight of that. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet and hurt. "So all his kindness, his support, it was just a con to steal my money? I believe Damien cared for you in his own twisted way, but he also saw you as a bank account to fund his scams. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. And Mom? Did she know what was happening?" That was the hardest question to answer. "To be honest, your mother was just as deceived as you were, but she also chose to shut me out and didn't protect you." Victoria stared blankly at her untouched salad. "I feel like such a fool. I really thought he was like a father to me." "You're not a fool. You trusted someone your mother trusted. That's natural. I just saw things differently because I was angry and jealous." Tears welled in Victoria's eyes. "I'm sorry, Dad. I let them push you aside. I should have included you in the wedding, asked for your advice on money. I let Mom convince me it was easier without you. Don't apologize. You were caught in their lies. But I made my choice. I sided with them, and now I know they were lying to all of us." I leaned in, voice steady. "What matters now is moving forward. We can restore your trust fund, but it'll take time and legal work." "How long?" "Months, maybe years. But I'm determined to recover every dollar stolen from you, plus damages for the pain it caused." Victoria wiped her eyes. "And Mom? Is she going to jail?" "No. She's cooperating with the authorities. They see her as a victim, not a criminal. But she's losing her gallery, her home, and most of her assets to pay back the victims." Victoria processed that quietly. After a pause, her tone was somber. "I have to ask, please be honest. Anything. Are you doing this to punish Mom, or to protect me?" That question cut deep. Was I seeking justice or revenge? The truth was both. I'm fighting because you're my daughter. No one steals from you without consequences. If Mom suffers as a result, that's justice, not revenge. Victoria nodded slowly. "I get it, and I'm glad you're on my side, even if it's complicated." "It's not complicated. You're my daughter. I will always stand with you. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I love you, Dad. I'm sorry it took a crisis for me to realize that. For the first time in months, I felt my daughter return to me. We spent the rest of lunch discussing the fallout. Her marriage, her career, the financial wreckage Damien's arrest caused. Victoria was holding up better than I expected, but beneath her calm I sensed simmering anger. What will happen to Damien? She asked as we got up to leave. He'll go to trial, likely convicted, and spend decades in prison. Good. Her voice was icy. I hope he rots behind bars. No, Dad, she said firmly. He destroyed my life, my money, my family. He deserves everything coming to him. As we approached our cars, Victoria stopped and turned to me with a heavy look. There's more. Derek and I are struggling. What kind of struggles? Mostly financial. We bought our house expecting my trust fund to cover the mortgage. Now that's gone and Derek's income isn't enough. We'll have to sell and downsize. A surge of protectiveness hit me. Even her marriage was suffering because of Damien's theft. Victoria, I can help with the mortgage until your funds are restored. No, Dad. I can't ask that of you. You're not asking, I'm offering. You shouldn't lose your home because of his crimes. Victoria hugged me tight. Thank you for seeing through him, fighting for my money, and never giving up on me, even when I wasn't perfect. You've always been my daughter. That never changed. That evening, I called Sam to update him. She's handling the news better than I expected. Angry at Damien and Mom, but understands why I did this. The civil settlement is ready. Mom will transfer the gallery to Victoria's trust, disclose all finances, and admit her role. In return, she keeps her home and avoids bankruptcy. That's generous, pragmatic. Victoria needs her mother functional even if their relationship is strained. Destroying her would only hurt Victoria more. Any news on Damien's arraignment? Thursday morning. Amanda Chen wants me there to represent Victoria. I'll come. It'll be a media frenzy. You need support. Wednesday passed quietly, letting me prepare. Janet Martinez provided fresh evidence, offshore bank accounts tracing $10 million in hidden funds. The most damning was a recording of Damien boasting about deceiving Elena and Victoria, mocking Elena's desperation for male approval and Victoria's trusting nature. Hearing it sparked a cold rage deeper than any I felt during the divorce. Damien hadn't just stolen money. He exploited my family's vulnerabilities for greed. Thursday morning at federal court, news crews swarmed. Damien's arrest was headline news given his high-profile clients and links to Elena's gallery. Inside, I spotted Elena, worn but resolute, holding what was likely the cooperation documents Amanda promised. Victoria arrived with Derek shortly, before the hearing, refusing to avoid the spotlight. I need to see him, she said. I need to face the man who betrayed me and understand how I was so wrong. When Damien appeared, handcuffed in an orange jumpsuit, his confident mask was gone. A desperate, broken man stared back. The arraignment was quick and brutal. Amanda read 47 federal charges with a combined potential sentence of over 300 years. Damien's lawyer pleaded not guilty but looked doubtful. At the bail hearing, Amanda showed Damien was a flight risk, caught trying to flee with fake documents and $200,000 cash. Your Honor, she said, the defendant was caught at a private airfield ready to escape. He has both motive and means. Damien's lawyer argued community ties and passport surrender, but the judge denied bail. Due to the severity of charges and flight risk, bail is denied. Mr. Cross remains in custody. Damien's eyes flickered remorse briefly when they found. Elena then hardened in defiance when meeting Victoria's steady gaze. Victoria returned that look without flinching, then quietly left the courtroom. Outside, reporters swarmed. Victoria handled herself with grace, thanking the FBI and affirming her commitment to justice. Elena appeared minutes later, bombarded with questions. Her composure cracked, answers barely audible. David Walsh finally escorted her away. She looks broken, Victoria said softly. She should. She made choices that brought this. I know, but she's still my mother. It hurts to watch her fall, even if it's her fault. I put my arm around Victoria. She'll get through it. She's stronger than she seems. The settlement leaves her enough to rebuild. What about us? Can our family survive this? I shrugged. I don't know, but I'm willing to try, if you are. Victoria leaned in. For a moment, we were just father and daughter united amid chaos. I love you, Dad, no matter what. I love you too, sweetheart, always. 6 months later, I stood in Victoria's new home, a modest but beautiful place she could afford after some asset recovery. The federal probe had recovered nearly $30 million from offshore accounts and seized assets. Her trust fund was fully restored, plus punitive damages ensuring financial security. Elena attended court-ordered therapy, working to rebuild her life and her fractured relationship with Victoria, though the road was long. Victoria returned to work at a nonprofit arts group, using her experience to advocate for victims of financial abuse. We shared a quiet dinner, toasting survival, justice, and fresh starts. The past still loomed, but hope shone brighter for the first time.